Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to Army Public School PMA Kakul Resource Network. Before starting today's lesson, let me remind you to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to keep yourself updated about the upcoming videos well in time. I am Munazza Sahar and today we are going to start chapter 5 Daffodils from grade 9. The main aspects of today's lesson are introduction to poem and poet, discussion of theme, explanation of stanzas, highlighting the figures of speech. Daffodils. Daffodils, the poem written by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was a well-known romantic poet who was a true lover of nature. He is also considered as the worshipper of nature. He believed in expressing simple and creative thoughts through his poems. To him, nature was a living personality, a teacher, a guardian, a nurse, and a good companion. He considered nature as a source of everlasting joy. He was sure that nature has soothing and healing influence on sorrow-stricken hearts. The poem Daffodils. This poem is a real experience by the poet. He himself visited Lake District and there he saw a huge crowd of daffodils. This poem is known for its exceptional simplicity yet refinedness of its thought. It consists of 4 stanzas where each stanza consists of 6 lines. These kind of stanzas are known as sestats. The rhyming scheme of each stanza is AB, AB, CC. The poem is repleted with rhetorical devices to evoke an emotional response in the audience. The theme of the poem is a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Whenever you think of the beautiful thing, you will be happy and you will enjoy. Beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. This is your imagination, this is your thinking that makes something beautiful for you. We can gain happiness anytime by appreciating the enjoyable moments spent in the company of nature, the moments we might have neglected due to our busy life. Let's see the explanation of poems stanza by stanza. Stanza 1. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Let's see the explanation. Wandered. Wandered means to roam about purposelessly, to move without any purpose, just for enjoyment. Lonely, alone. Floats, moves slowly. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills. So the poet says that Once he was moving uselessly like a cloud that moves slowly in the sky over valleys and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Crowd means large group of people. Host also means large number of people or something. So the poet says that when he was moving like a cloud, a lonely cloud, suddenly he saw an amazing sight. He saw a huge number of daffodils that were of golden color. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Beneath means under, fluttering means moving irregularly, breeze means gentle wind. The poet says that when he was moving uselessly, he saw a huge crowd or gathering of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, the daffodils were grown alongside the lake and under the trees, and they were waving and dancing in the gentle breeze. They were moving in such a manner that it seemed that they were dancing. Let's see the paraphrase of the poem of the first stanza. Once the poet went to the fairly remote and wild part of countryside, which was situated in Lake District. Lake District is the place where Wordsworth lived. He recalls the moments and says that one day he was moving uselessly beside a lake. He was all alone like a cloud that moves slowly in the heights of sky over deep valleys and high mountains. Then suddenly he came across the magical sight of countless golden daffodils grown along the lakeside under the trees. They were moving irregularly and it seemed that they were dancing and enjoying in the gentle wind. The poet thought that the airy breeze had made them rejoice and play. Let's have a look at the figures of speech used in the stanza. In the first line of the stanza, the poet has used the simile, lonely as a cloud. Simile, you know, is the comparison of two things using the word like or as. So here the poet is comparing himself with a cloud which is lonely, which is alone. As he was moving alone, so he compares himself with a cloud. In line number 3, he is using the word crowd, and in line number 4, host. These words, crowd and host, they are used for people. So here he is using the figure of speech personification. Personification is the figure of speech where you give human characteristics to non-human things. So he is giving the human characteristic crowd and host to daffodils. So he has used personification in these two lines. In line number 6 as well, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. He has also used personification in these lines because dancing and fluttering, these are the characteristics of humans. Fluttering is the movement, and we know that the plants, they can't move on their own. So fluttering and dancing, these are also considered to be personifications. In the whole stanza, we find the visual imagery, the valleys, the hills, the cloud, the daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees. So visual imagery is found in the whole of the stanza. Stanza 2. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Let's see the explanation. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Continuous means countless, innumerable, uncountable. The daffodils were uncountable like the stars which shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Twinkle also means shine. Milky Way stands for band of stars that can't be seen with naked eye. The galaxy. So the poet says that the daffodils resembled the innumerable shining stars that one could see in the night sky in the form of galaxy. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. Stretched means extended, spread. Never-ending line, the line that never ends, unending, limitless boundary. Margin means the shore, edge, border of something, of a bay. That something is water bay. Bay stands for water body. Here it refers to lake. So the poet says that the daffodils were spreading over limitless boundaries beside the shore of the lake, and he couldn't see their end line. There were so many in number that they couldn't see their border and their ending line. They were stretched along the shore of the lake. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. 10,000 here again stands for countless, innumerable, plenty. 10,000 saw I at a glance. Glance means just one sight or having a hurried look or a brief look at something. Tossing their heads. Tossing means moving side to side. Their heads, of course, their tips, the flowers, they were moving their heads in sprightly dance. Sprightly means lively, full of life, happiness, full of vigor and energy. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So he saw too many daffodils. There were too many to be countable. In just one side, he could see thousands of them, waving their heads as if they were enjoying the cheerful movements, those cheerful moments in a happy and merry mood. Let's see the paraphrase. They resembled, they stands for daffodils. Those daffodils resembled uncountable and innumerable shining stars that are a part of our galaxy. They were grown along the edge of lake and they were spread over limitless boundaries. He couldn't see their ending line. They were too many to be counted, that in just one side he could see thousands of them, and they were waving their heads as if they were dancing and enjoying those cheerful moments happily and merrily. Let's have a look on the figures of speech used in the stanza. That again in the first line of the stanza he is using the word as to compare the daffodils with the stars, continuous as the stars that shine. So in this first line, simile is used where he is comparing daffodils with the stars. In third line, never ending line. So never ending line, he has used hyperbole here. Hyperbole is the exaggerated statement not meant to be taken literally. So never ending line, hyperbole is used here, and similarly in the fifth line, 10,000, exaggeration is also used in this line as well. Last line, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So tossing their heads, we know that daffodils can't move their heads themselves. So tossing their heads means that they were moving their heads, which is again, movement is human characteristic. So we see that personification is used in these lines, tossing their heads. And in sprightly dance, dance is also human characteristic. So in this line, personification is used. Stanza 3. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. Let's see the explanation. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in. As the daffodils were grown alongside the lake, so there were also waves inside the lake, and they were also dancing. The waves beside them danced, but they here stand for daffodils. Outdid the sparkling waves in glee. Outdid means surpassed, excelled, defeated. Sparkling waves, the shining waves in the sunlight. Glee means happiness and delight. So the waves were also dancing along the daffodils, but the daffodils surpassed the shining waves in happiness and delight. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. Could not be means poet could not resist himself, could not avoid himself. Be but gay means he couldn't, gay means happy. He couldn't resist himself to become happy. Such a jocund company. Jocund means delightful, cheerful, carefree. So the poet says that a poet couldn't avoid himself from becoming happy and enjoying in such a joyful and carefree company. He considers them to be his companion. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. Gazed. Gazed means to have a strange look at something in astonishment. To keep on looking something without blinking eyes. Little thought means could not think, could not realize. What wealth? Wealth means, basically wealth means money, but here wealth is used metaphorically. So here it means valuable, precious. The show, the view of the daffodils to me had brought. means how valuable that view of daffodils was for him. Let's see the explanation of lines. He watched the daffodils for long without realizing that how valuable those moments were for him. They were very precious for him. The view was incorporated in his mind for an everlasting time. Let's see the paraphrase of the whole stanza. The daffodils were grown on the border of lake, and in the lake the waves were also dancing. But the daffodils surpassed the shining waves in happiness and delight. The fascinating dance of waves was in no way comparable to the gaiety of the daffodils. A poet who is the true lover of nature couldn't resist himself from cherishing the joyful and cheerful company of splendid flowers. He continuously watched them for a long time without blinking his eyes. He was so lost in the magic of those flowers that he couldn't realize that these moments were going to be an enormous treasure for him in the future life, because this view was incorporated in his mind for an everlasting time and would be a source of joy for him forever. Let's discuss the figures of speech. The waves besides them danced. So we see that again he has used the word danced for the waves. So personification is used for waves. He is also personifying the waves by giving them the human characteristic danced. They, personification, they stands for daffodils. They outdid the sparkling waves in glee. We see enjambment here. Enjambment is the continuation of a sentence, a line, a stanza to the next one without having a pause. So they outdid the sparkling waves. Enjambment is used here. In such a jocund company. Company, he is again personifying the flowers by giving them the characteristic, the trait of company, human characteristic. Wealth. Metaphor is used here. Wealth stands for valuable moments. It's not the money, the paper money, but it stands for the precious and valuable moments that he gained through the company of the cheerful, the joyful daffodils. So he enjoyed their company, and in the future life, whenever he thought about those moments, he became wealthy by thinking about those daffodils. So these are the figures of speech which are used in the stanza. Stanza 4. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Let's see the explanation. For, because, oft, often. On my couch, couch is the seat with headrest. For oft when on my couch I lie, vacant. Vacant means free from any activity, any work, tension free. Pensive. Pensive means sad. For often on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood. So the poet says because. So we can see that this is the enjambment of stanza. The idea is continued in the next stanza when he says that those moments were going to be a wealth for me. Here he gives the explanation why those moments were a wealth for him, because often it happens that whenever he is lying on his couch in his leisure time, in his free time, or in a sad mood. So whenever he is free or in a sad mood, they, daffodils, flash upon that inward eye which is the bliss of solitude. Inward eye means imagination, vision. Flash upon, they appear. They appear in his imagination. Which is the bliss of solitude? Bliss means blessing, gift. Solitude means loneliness. So this thinking, this imagination is the gift of loneliness. So whenever he is sad, whenever he is in a leisure mood, those daffodils appear in his imagination, and these memories are a gift of loneliness. You can only have this kind of imagination whenever you are alone. So whenever he is alone, whenever he is sad, whenever he is tension free, those memories come to his mind. He thinks about those daffodils. And then my heart with pleasure fills. Heart with pleasure fills means his heart becomes happy. He starts feeling rejoice and dances with the daffodils. His heart starts to dance with the daffodils. So whenever he is alone, whenever he is in a free mood or sad, those daffodils come to his mind and his heart starts to dance with the daffodils in happiness and enjoyment. Let's see the explanation of the paraphrase. Because, continuation, those moments were happy, those moments were a source of happiness for him, because often whenever he lies on his couch in his free moments or in a sad mood, they appear in his imagination. He sees them in his spiritual vision, which is the gift of loneliness. Those memories, that imagination, they are the gift of loneliness. These flashing images overtake him and make him feel sublime. His heart is filled with happiness, and recalling the moment starts dancing with the daffodils. Let's see the figures of speech. So first of all, enjambment is used. From the previous stanza, the movement to the next stanza. This is the continuation of the previous stanza. Then in the line, they, again personifying the flowers, flash upon that inward eye. The visual imagery is used. All the visual imagery is used in the whole of the poem, but this line is also a specimen of the visual imagery. Flash upon that inward eye. This is the visual imagery. Then my heart with pleasure fills. Heart beats. Heart doesn't have, we feel that heart doesn't have any feeling, but he is giving the human trait of happiness to heart. So heart is feeling happiness. It is being filled with happiness and pleasure. So personification is used here when he says my heart with pleasure fills. And dances. Again personification is used for heart and dances with the daffodils. So personification is used for heart, that it is feeling happy and it is dancing with the daffodils. So these are the figures of speech which are used in this stanza.